welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special. I'm Shereen, Bhan. We're in conversation with the man who's in the eye of the storm, quite literally, Suresh Narayanan, who's just taken over as the Managing Director of Nestle India. Suresh, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. I don't envy you. What was the kind of lead time that you were given before you were asked to move to India?
Well, a couple of weeks, but I would just like to add that I think the whole process of leadership transition is part of something that we work on as a global company. So I have moved to different geographies, gained different experiences, and I think management of challenges, be it the environment or be it the market. My last one was in Egypt, 4.5 years of, you can imagine the kind of challenges that we faced. And I think it was felt that that would be a relevant kind of experience to bring to bear in the Indian market in the current context, and here I am.
So you would say this is actually more of a strategic move and not just a tactical move. And I ask you this in the context of the commentary that's already coming in as you take over at Nestle India. And the view is, I'm reading out of comments that have been made by various analysts who track the company, that an Indian origin managing director will be able to understand and manage the issue related to the Maggi ban better. So is it tactical or more strategic, the move to India?
I would reckon, Shereen, that probably, I hope I've got skills that are more compelling than just being an Indian. And I believe that in the experience profile that I've built up in the organization, it has been relevant to take on the kind of challenges that bring me to this market. And while I know this is a question that probably Paul Bulke and my boss, Wanling Matelo, should be answering, but I think my being an Indian has kind of, as she says, being the cherry on the cake. And I think it enables and facilitates a certain ease with which I am able to adapt myself to the environment. And that helps.
You know, speaking of adaptability, and I come back to the strategic thinking behind moving you here, because you're the first Indian to take over Nestle India in a 17-year period. And this issue of whether there should actually be an Indian at the helm of Nestle India has been talked about for a while now. In fact, if I go back to reports dated January of 2014, again, analysts were talking about the need to bring in an Indian at the helm of affairs, perhaps because cultural insights, customer insights would be more apt. And Nestle, the impression was losing out on innovation and losing out on a connect with the consumer. So again, my question in a larger strategic context.
Look, I think one of the charms of being the Nestle organization is the fact that our talent is multinational. So in as much as I was given the opportunity of being the managing director in Singapore or in Egypt or in the Philippines, is the opportunity that is given to a lot of my colleagues on a global basis to go and head up operations in different parts of the world. So I do not think that there has been any unconscious kind of decision saying no, we will not look at a local for a local market. As and when it becomes relevant in the context of the experience that has been built up, and if there is a local that is capable of taking on the challenge of managing a market, it happens. And I think it has more been in that context.
Okay, let's talk about the current crisis that you have to deal with, and that is, of course, what happens now as far as brand Nestle is concerned post the Maggi controversy. You have said we will overcome. You've said that it's your mandate to build this company brick by brick, employee by employee, customer by customer. What does that mean exactly?
That's right. Look, to me, Shereen, really, I look at this as a mission and not a job. And to me, that's important, because I have been born from this team, and I believe that there is a lot of people around me in this organization who can and truly will make a difference. So I really look at my mandate in terms of 4 or 5 key objectives that I seek to achieve. Number one is to bring Maggie back. And that is a clear part of the mandate that I'll be working on.
If I can ask you to halt there so that I can flesh this point out. When you say your mandate is to bring Maggie back, what will it take to bring Maggie back as far as India is concerned, the domestic market is concerned? I'm not talking about the court issue, because the court matter is still sub judice. The order is reserved. But what will it take from a company's point of view, from a regulatory approvals point of view, to get Maggie back on the shelf?
Sure. Really, there are 2 parts to it. One part, of course, is the first one is to engage with the regulatory authorities in terms of the product itself, which post the judgment is a matter that we will work. My whole approach has been to find a solution to the way forward, I think we have to find a solution to the way forward, and I think the dialogue that will be engaged would be around finding that.
So, when you say the effort is to find a solution, irrespective of what the court decides, are we likely to see you change formulation, whether it's the taste maker or the noodles itself? Are you working on that at this point in time? Are we likely to see an effort to rebrand, for instance, repackage this whole business of whether there's no addition as far as MSG is concerned? You've been accused of mislabeling. What is going to be the effort on each of those specific fronts?
I think at the moment it is a bit speculative for me to say which part of the marketing mix would we be addressing. I think the mandate that we have is to look at all elements. Look at the element in terms of the product, in terms of the offering, in terms of the packaging, in terms of the communication. There has been, of course, clearly some confusion as far as the consumer is concerned on Maggi the brand, and I think that's an area that will be undertaken by us in terms of revamping and relooking at the scope of communication and engagement that we will do in order to get
even though you maintain that you are within permissible levels of lead, you are saying
the
that
Shireen, is we are safe.
You're safe.
Yes.
You're safe consumption, which is of course being contested by the FSSAI in court. I won't go down that road.
Yes.
But are you looking at reworking the product formulation, given the apprehensions that have been expressed by the food regulators?
That would certainly be part of the scope of decisions that will be taken.
Okay. Are you awaiting the court verdict in order for you to act on that?
We already start working on the project from day one. I mean, it is for an organization with the depth of capabilities that we have, an initiative that has been undertaken already, and there are options, and there are discussions, and there are discussions that are actively on in order to see the different elements of the mix and what can we do in a situation to take things forward, and I think that's the whole approach.
So what will be step number 2? One would be to identify one of those scenarios that you're working with, those options that you've already identified, which would maybe entail a change as far as product formulation is concerned. Once you decide on that, what's step 2? Regulatory approval?
Step 2, of course, would be to engage the regulatory bodies, and here I think the approach that I have is, look, there is no victor, there is no vanquished. We have been in this country, Nestle has been in this country for over 100 years.
Yeah.
We want to be here for the next 100, 200 years, whatever span of time we can have. We are part of this country. 99.7% of the employees of Nestle India are Indian, starting from me. So, as far as I'm concerned, we are well within the laws of the land. We will be respecting every single aspect of the law of the land, and we will be therefore engaging in a dialogue to ensure that what comes out is the best product in terms of quality, safety, and longevity for the consumer.
Okay, what will that mean then from a production standpoint? And once you do get regulatory approvals, as and when you do get them, how soon can we actually see you put production back onto shelves?
Look, Shereen, today the entire value chain of Maggi is frozen. So we have 5 factories that are not functioning, right? We have got suppliers who are not supplying, right? We have got distribution networks that are suboptimal because the fact is they don't carry Maggi. Now, I look at it from the point of view of getting all this back. Now, there are detailed exercises that are on to see what would be the kind of ramp-up time, because it is like literally stopping the machine and starting it once again.
So what would be the ballpark ramp-up time?
It is, Shereen, for me, it is. I wouldn't like to speculate because it also depends on the different options that we are playing with. But I can only assure you that we want to be back with Maggi at the soonest.
Would it be safe to say that pending regulatory approvals, pending getting the Maggi ecosystem, if I could call it that, back in place, the end of this calendar year is perhaps the earliest we could see Maggi back on shelves?
I would really, again, it's a realm of possibility, but at this stage, I would say, Shereen, in all honesty, it's probably a bit of speculation, because I think a lot will depend on what comes out of what we're going to hear from the Honorable Court, and then taking that forward in terms of a proactive engagement, an engagement where we find a solution that is forward-looking, in the interest of the consumer, in the interest of the country, and in the interest of the company.
Are you still exporting Maggie? Because you've got the clean chit from regulators in Singapore, you've got the clean chit from regulators in Canada,
Yes.
as well as the UK. You were exporting Maggie from the domestic manufacturing facilities from India. Are you still exporting Maggie?
Yes, we have started it, albeit modestly,
Okay.
but it's definitely part of the ambit as far as the company is concerned.
So when you talk about options and you talk about resurrecting the brand image, so to speak, there's no question of doing away with the Maggie brand.
No, Maggi is a vital part of the portfolio of Nestle. So the question of doing away with a Maggi simply doesn't arise. It's a bit like saying Narayanan is off the Suresh.
Yeah.
It's a firmament, and it's part of the fabric of this organization.
Okay, let's talk about what analysts are going to be looking for, and that is in terms of your numbers. And in the past 3 decades, you haven't posted a loss. You've unfortunately had to post a loss of about 64 crore rupees this time around. Your net sales are down about 20%, but even adjusting for Maggi, your sales are down about 8%. So it also highlights a different sort of vulnerability that Nestle has been combating, and that of course is the over-dependence perhaps on Maggi. But if I could ask you to elaborate on the rub-off effect that we've seen as far as the rest of your portfolio is concerned on account of the controversy with Maggi.
Let me take this question in 2 parts, Shereen. The first one is that yes, I think the second part of my mandate is really to start engaging some of the other growth pillars of the company, which is basically in the area of nutrition, in the area of chocolates and confectionery, coffee and beverages, and dairy. Now there are opportunities there, and I think part of my mandate would be to really look for growth as far as these opportunities are concerned. And I think that is going to be an important mandate that we're going to play with.
On that note, it's time for us to take a break, but when we return, we continue our conversation with Nestle India's new managing director right here.